Okay, I think my voice is clear and you can see my screen.
Yes, yes, well.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
In the previous session, we discussed about introduction of data engineering, right? We discussed about we are going to build the data platform. For a data platform, we have different layers. So we are going to work on each of the layer. So we are going to use AWS service for multiple purpose here. Ingestion, we are going to use orchestration, we are going to use. So in the data platform, we are going to use some open source framework and some AWS services. Okay, I'll go to my local. I think like everyone has AWS account now. Like you can see in AWS, we have multiple services. So we can see like multiple services, right? So in that, we are going to see core services, IAM, S3. Are the core services. Okay, so IAM, S3, EC2, like RDS are the core services. Here, we are going to see what is IAM. First, we will start with that. Then we will go into S3. We'll go to other services. So why we are doing it? Because AWS is it's a public like a cloud, right? Where you can create resources. So you can log in with your account. So in enterprise, they have some common account, and there are multiple users are going to use the same account. You will be given access, and you will create the resource and use it. So we will see how we can use it, how you can create users, how you can give permissions, roles, everything we'll discuss today. Okay. So in my account, you can see here I have I can change the regions. So AWS, you can change the region. I'm going to use AP South or AP Southeast. So I can change different regions. So if I change the region, so for example, so if AP South, I'm creating some resources. For example, S3, I'm creating some buckets. Or I'm creating some glue ETLs. So whatever resources I create will be there in AP South. So if I switch the region, so if I'm going to switch it to Singapore region, can you see it has its own jobs? Okay, so in AWS, you have multiple regions. So I'll change it to US East 1. So if you see US East 1, there is no jobs here. Okay, and buckets, everything, all the buckets are created on. So you can see all my buckets are AP South, Mumbai region or Singapore region. Okay, so AWS Cloud are region specific. Lot of services are region specific. Few services are globally there. For example, if you go to IAM, IAM is a global account. You can see global. So it is like it's globally across all the regions. Whereas S3 or other services are region specific. Okay. So the first one we are starting is like region. So you can see the regions. So always try to use one region. Don't keep changing the region. So what will you do is you will make a mistake of creating resources in multiple regions and you will forget to delete and you will be charged. That is why always stick to one region. So for example, use AP South, always use AP South, or always use which is the closest region for you, can use that region. Okay. Now let us go to IAM. So what is IAM? So you can see here, it's a identity and access management. So IAM is called identity and access management. Okay, so in IAM, what we can do it in IAM? So let us see that. So IAM helps you to manage your access to AWS resources. Okay, so IAM is a common service which provides you access to different AWS services. So if I want access to any services, I need help of IAM only, I can do it. So there are multiple services, right? AWS S3 is one service, EC2 is service, RDS is a service. So to access all this service, you need permission. So if you don't have permissions, IAM is the place where you will create. So it controls users, group, and roles. So in IAM, you can create users. So you go to IAM, you can create users. So in organizations, I have one AWS account. I can create multiple users and assign them. Okay, so assign them different permissions. So for few users, I can give for example, I have a business analyst who is going to do only read operation. He is going to access only Athena or QuickSight. So he's going to access only one site for a few of the service. So I can give them permission for accessing only few of the service. So you can see here I'm giving user. So this is a business user. For a business user, I'm giving access to Athena and QuickSight. Okay, I can give only few access. I have a dev user. So dev user is a development user. I'm giving access to multiple service. Okay, so like that, user specific, you can give permissions to different service. So you can create a user. You can create a user, and then you can give permissions. So they can log in with that user account. Okay, so once you create a user, for example, if you see business user, or let me do one thing, I'll go here, create a new user. So I'm creating a new user and I'm not giving any permission. And see by default, it's asking to add to group. I can add it to developer group, analyst group, or DevOps group. In that group, already they have permissions, but I'm not giving permission. Or you have option to attach policy directly. We can go here, attach policy. For example, if you can give S3 full access, so you can attach policy. So I'm not doing anything. I'm not adding users to group. I'm not adding any policies here. So policies are permissions. So I can give permissions. I'm not doing anything. I'm just creating a user. Okay, I created a new user. So this is the user. So I can use this URL. So I can use this URL. I'll open another browser. So you can see the URL here. I use the like this URL. Okay, the user URL. So this is a different URL, right? Not the AWS URL. So when you log in here, you can see it comes with the ID. So this is my account ID. I have to give the username and password. So let me see if I gave a password here while creating account. So I can auto generate a password or I give a custom password. So I'll do auto generate a password. Okay, auto generated a password. Now I can go to that browser and I'll copy the username. Okay, so I have logged in as that user. So you can see, can you see here? I have very limited permission. I cannot see anything, right? As that user, I logged in. I cannot see all the services. Okay, if I go to S3, I don't see any buckets. Okay, I don't see any buckets because I have not given permission. So when you log in with a new user account, you don't have any permissions. Okay, so the permission has to be given. So I'll go here, I'll add a permission. So I'm going to give S3 access. So I'm giving S3 full access. So that user can access all the S3 buckets. Okay, now we can see he is able to access the S3 bucket. Okay, so this is how your account is an admin account. Okay, so the account which you normally create with your email ID, it's an admin account. So you have access to all the services. You can create permissions, you can create users, you can create roles. So, but when you create a new user, that user will not have any permissions. Okay, so you have to define the permission. You have to give the privilege for that user to access all the service. What is your question? You can unmute yourself and ask questions.
Yeah, just a quick question. I thought I should ask this earlier, but you said it's better to keep one location as what we use always.
Yeah.
What would be reasons to use different locations in the first place?
So AWS, the cloud, right? The servers are located around the globe in different regions. Okay, it's a cloud account. They have servers, data centers around the globe in different regions.
Yeah.
That is what it's mentioned here. Okay, so all this thing are data centers around the globe. So they have data centers in Mumbai, Singapore, like that. They have data centers. So your application is running on any of this data center. So if you are having database or something just closer to the net server, then your accessing will be faster. Okay, if you're going to create in US, you are
Yeah,
going to access from network, then access will be slow. Okay, that is why I said create the server which is
yeah,
closer to you.
got. But that would be the only reason to
Yeah,
switch locations in the first place, right?
correct. Correct.
That's what I want.
Okay. So what was the other question? I saw another person was asking.
Sir, question, but Mumbai has a very big population who use AWS. So isn't the traffic very?
No, AWS data centers are very huge. They can handle all the cities are bigger cities. Okay, so all cities have data centers and they have multiple data centers around the globe. So that means their servers can scale easily and they are having high balance setup, high loads, high traffic setup, and they will scale automatically also. So that they will easily do it. Okay, if you see in US also, they have a lot of servers, right, which are heavily used, which they are able to handle it. So Mumbai will not be easier for them to handle. Okay.
Yeah, I have one question.
Yeah.
So in corporate, actually, who has that access to allow access for other users?
So normally in organization, there will be admin teams or DevOps teams. Okay, there will be a separate team, DevOps or admin team who is taking care of the cloud. They will be the administrator of the cloud account. They will have the privilege. So for any access, you will raise a ticket. You will raise a Jira ticket and you'll get access to it. So you will have a user account here. Initially, they will create a user when you join the organization. They will create a user account and give you, and you need to request for access. So if you need any permissions, they will give access. Or they will, what they'll do, they will already have roles defined. That means they will have some predefined user groups like a developer, DevOps, data engineer. They will assign your user account to that group. And that group will have already some permissions. For example, a developer has already permission for few of the services. You can see developer has access to Glue, S3 and Athena. So they will assign this you to users group. So you will automatically will get access to this services. So that is how it happens.
Got it.
Okay,
So in
that too
most
dev environment. So we are talking about dev. So it is like you in organization, you will have dev, QA, stage, and production, multiple environments. So the access level will change about environment also. So they're not going to give production access. Only if it's critical, they'll give production access.
so in most of the organizations, we connect to the application using single sign-on, right? SSO. So how
Correct.
to enable this SSO in IAM?
You want to enable SSO in IAM.
Yeah, so it's like when right, in organization like application, we will just connect. It will automatically take our system password, credentials, and system password to connect to that application. So here in the AWS, whenever I open the AWS, then it should automatically connect with by taking our username and password. Is it all possible here or no?
It's possible. You need to have some enterprise account and you have to enable SSO there in IAM, then it will be possible. Okay, so what we are using is a normal user trial account, right? So you need to enable organizations here. So organizations,
Okay.
and you need to have enterprise account where they will have SSO feature, where you can enable SSO, and it will tied up to your organization's identity manager, like external, like like Okta or any kind of identity manager. It will be allocated, so they can log in with that.
Okay.
So SSO is like automatic authentication.
Yeah, automatic. In your organizations, you don't have to give username and password. Once you log in the browser, if you hit the URL, it will redirect to that AWS account without giving any username and password.
Okay.
And your account, like your login with an your user account to that machine. That machine will be a VDA remote machine. So you will log in with the user account. That user account will be mapped to your AWS account, and you will have the permissions to that AWS. That is how it will be there in organizations. Okay, so in IAM, so we have seen what is user. So we are going to have multiple users and multiple access level, right? So multiple access to multiple services. And you can see there is roles, policies. So these are other things, like policies are by default, AWS has a lot of policies, like access to S3, access to glue. Like for example, if you need access to S3, full access to S3, you can use this policy. Like that, they have their own policy. You also can create your own policy. So this is normally done by DevOps. We don't do it. We don't do a lot of things in IAM, right? So we just use the policies. That is what we do it. Okay, so you don't have to get deeper into IAM. You don't have to get deeper into permissions, policies, right? So we will use few of the things. For requiring for data engineering, we will create some roles. We will create some permissions. Like that, we will do it from UI or using Terraform. We will do it in an automated fashion. That is how we are going to use.
But what exactly is policy?
What exactly is a policy? Policy is a permission. It's nothing but a permission. Okay, so it's nothing but a permission. So you are going to give permission for that is why I said, right? So I want S3 full access. I can use this policy and assign it to a user. So I'll get full access. It's nothing
So
but a
we
permission.
assign to users or roles? Groups.
You can assign it to users, roles, or groups. Anything. The
Okay.
policy can be applied to any of the users, roles, and groups.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
So all this IAM we will be using very frequently because it will be used when we are going to use any of the services. We need permissions. We need users permissions for doing it. So we are going to use it very frequently. Okay. So now, as I said, your permission, you can define it granular level using IAM. So I can say for particular user or particular groups or particular role, I can give permissions, can do it granular level, and it supports multi-factor authentication. It supports single sign-on. Like in enterprise, we use single sign-on. Here we enable multi-factor authentication, so you can have like OTP and then using OTP can access. Okay, and you can give short-term permissions using tokens also. So that is the other thing. We don't have to get deeper into it. So IAM is nothing but where you have identities, users, groups, roles, and credentials. So you have multiple identities. For identity, you give permissions. You give permission to S3. You give permission to Lambda, Glue. So different AWS services, you give permission using IAM for the identities. It can be user, it can be groups, it can be roles. So that by using policy, you give the permission. So policies are the one which is nothing but permission. By using policy, you assign the policy to users for giving permissions. Read operation, write operation, delete operation, everything you define it in the policy and you will assign it to users. Okay, so that is how it will be. We are going to use. Okay, we will get into the next one. So, so far we have seen what is IAM. So in IAM, we can create users, you can manage policies, we can manage roles. Okay, so next is AWS S3. So S3 is a storage area. Okay, so S3 is meant for storing large amount of data. So I'll open S3. In S3, you can create buckets. You can create a bucket. So the bucket name should be unique. So let me create. So I'm creating bucket name. So this bucket name, if I don't give unique, so let me say demo one. Throwing it throw error saying that bucket name already exists. So it should be unique. So I'll give some unique name here. So I created bucket. I just gave name and then other things I left it default. I did not give anything. So what they're doing it, they're blocking the public access. So the bucket is available in private node. If you see here, advanced settings, by default, it's using server-side encryptions. We are not changing anything. We are not changing any of this thing. We are just giving bucket name and creating the bucket. Okay. So as I am in AP South, the bucket got created in AP South. And I don't have any files here. I can create folders. So I can create a folder and upload. I can upload files. So I can upload from local. I can upload CSV files, PDF files. I can load a lot of data into S3. So S3 is a place where you can store large amount of data. Okay, so on S3, you can access it from all the services. So S3 is a centralized storage system where it will be used from different services. So we can put the data, like read the data and write the data from S3, and it's very cheaper. So you can store large amount of data. Okay, you can see S3 is a object storage where you can store data as an object inside bucket. So whatever the data you are storing, it's a object. It's an object. So S3 is an object storage. It stores the data as an object, and you can store unlimited data. It is like automatically scaling. So it is having 99% accuracy. It's highly durable. That means it's available 99% of time. It will not go down because it's running in multiple in the region. It's running on multiple servers. So it will not go down. Okay, and the maximum capacity we cannot say. You can store large amount of terabytes of data. Okay, so it can handle large amount of data. Terabytes or petabytes of data it can store. And in S3, you have policies for accessing S3 or for reading or writing data. You need to use policies, IAM policies. Using that only, users can access the data from S3, read or write data from S3. Okay, and S3 works with services like Glue, Lambda, Athena, data lake, data warehouse, different systems, integration systems. So S3 is going to integrate, it's integrated and it works easier with all the services. Okay, and S3 is cheaper and it plays a centralized data storage system in a data platform. So it plays as a data platform. And on top of S3, we are going to create catalog. Catalog is nothing but a metadata layer which we are going to build on top of S3, and we are going to store the metadata here. Okay, so it's nothing but on top of S3, you will create a storage layer where it maintains what type of data is stored, what type of data file format is there, and what are the schema details. That everything is going to be there in catalog. Okay, so in S3, you are going to have catalog, and we are going to use Glue catalog here. Okay, so we are going to see Glue catalog. We will see that what is catalog, how catalog is used, everything in detail. Okay, so S3 has different type of storage classes. By default, it's standard. You have like different intelligent tiers, Glacier, Glacier Archive. So the cost is different, right? So each has their own cost. Standard is costlier here. For frequent access, you use S3 standard. And if you want to store, like if you're going to access monthly once, for backup you are storing, for archival purpose you are storing, then you will go for the lower version. So lower version are cheaper, but it will be slower in retrieving the data. It's going to be slower. So S3 standard is faster, but it's costlier. Costlier compared to this storage systems. Okay, so we will see the cost also.
Hey, I have a quick question. Hey.
Yeah, go ahead.
So regarding now we're discussing S3. Now all of the purpose of S3 itself is to store database. Is to store a database or because we discussed I think multiple types of data storage, right? Like data warehousing and data lake. So S3 is for what purpose specifically, or is it for everything? Everything comes under it.
So S3 is cheaper. Okay, so in organizations, S3 plays a role of staging layer. Okay, so you have a data warehouse. So what is the purpose of data warehouse? I am collecting data from different system, bringing to centralized layer so that I can do intelligence. That is why we use data warehouse. Okay, so S3 is again a storage layer, which is used with data warehouse for collecting the data from various storage systems. And it is very cheaper. So you can store raw format of data, structured data, like different format of data, you can store it in this. That is the, as it is cheaper, so you use it for like a raw, you store the raw data also, you store the transformed data also, you store aggregated data, like you would store different type of data in S3. So that is why it's like a data lake. It maintains all the type of data.
Okay. So you said in organizations it's primarily used for used in staging. Then what is used for production and reporting?
No, staging means temporary place for maintaining the file. Staging layer, it's nothing but what we say in data warehouse scenario. Staging means a temporary placeholder so that you can apply, take the data and do ETL and then store it into your data warehouse systems. That is what
I understand that. Yeah, I understand the staging layer.
Yeah.
What I'm asking is if S3 is for staging in enterprise situations, what is for data warehouse or what is for production environments and reporting?
No. Staging means I'm not saying about environment, right? Environment you have dev, QA, stage, that is different. Staging layer means what we are saying is if you see data warehouse architecture, like before storing into data warehouse, you bring the data, you have a ETL framework which is going to take the data, convert into structure form and store it to data warehouse. But you have a stage layer. Stage layer is nothing but a temporary storage area. Even in production, you are going to have a temporary storage area. It's a collection area where they collect all the data, bring it to a centralized place, and then they do ETL and then store it into data warehouse. That is what I'm saying staging layer.
Got it.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So staging is before transformation, right?
Yeah, before transformation. So raw form of data, it's nothing but we are collecting the raw form of data, bringing it to your data lake so that it can be transformed, data can be transformed and used for multiple scenarios. So we have multiple consumers. So we have data science, data analytics, different kind of consumers here, data products. So the data is in raw form in the data lake, which can be used by any of the consumers. So they don't have to go to source again and fetch the data. It's there available in the data lake, so they can use it for multiple purposes.
Could you remind us what is used within the AWS ecosystem, the cloud ecosystem? What is used for outside of the staging? Like what is used for by the analytics, by other teams that are using the data, or finally when the ETL is done and they're stored, what within the AWS system is used to store that data?
So it's about, so your in organizations, your data is used by multiple teams. So your sales team is there, marketing team is there, and they have applications, they have reports, they have dashboards, they have some tools, right? Like they have machine learning applications, they have data
Yeah.
science, generative AI. So all are their consumers who are going to access the data. They may access it from data warehouse, or they may take from data lake. Okay, so they may take the so data science, they need raw data also, they need aggregated data also. Aggregated data is in data warehouse and raw data is in data lake. So they may use both the data. Okay, it's not that always they are going to take it from data warehouse, right? So they may need different kind of data. So data warehouse, you store only aggregated data, structured data, cleaned form of data. But they need some process data or raw form of data, they will take it from data lake.
Yeah. I'm just asking within the AWS system, what is the data warehouse? Or you get what I'm asking?
Yeah, it's about organization, right? The like within the organization, they may use Redshift, they may use Snowflake also. So Snowflake,
Ah,
it's not within AWS, it's a different product itself. But within
got
AWS, you can use Redshift. Redshift is a data warehouse, but
yeah.
company, because of different capabilities, they use
Hmm.
Snowflake.
Got it.
Okay.
So basically, yeah. S3 is for storage, and Snowflake and Redshift, those
Redshift
will
is
be
for data warehouse system.
data warehouse.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
So all data in S3 we can say that on staging layer, right?
Yeah, we can say like that, like staging layer or a raw format of data. So that is a, like you can say it's a temporary place where we get dump all the data from different sources. We bring the data, dump into S3, then we do ETL, and then we convert it into structure form and then use it for different purpose.
And what is that curated layer? Does it in the same S3 only or
That you can have it, right? So you within S3 itself, I can have different layers. I can have a different bucket
okay?
for curated,
Okay,
aggregated
so
data.
another bucket we can say
Yeah, we
that
can have it.
that is a curated layer.
Curated data. Or I can have a data warehouse and store all my curated data in data warehouse. Both you can do.
Curated it means some form of transformation and
Yeah,
optimized
you have
data.
done the transformation, you have done the cleanup. It's a quality of data. You are storing it into another storage layer. That can be
Yes,
S3 itself. That can be a data warehouse.
right, got it.
Well, one question. So last time we discussed that data warehouse is an OLTP system which will only ingest the current data, and then there will be.
No, database is a OLTP system which will ingest only current data. Database like
Oh,
my RDS, MySQL, SQL Server, Oracle are the OLTP system which will ingest only current data. OLAP,
understood.
your data warehouse is a OLAP system which is meant for analytics, which can store large amount of data.
Understood. So in this case, for any reporting purpose, let's say on Power BI, Tableau, uh, any user or any developer can either connect to Redshift, Snowflake as a data warehouse, or even S3. Both of them will support historic data, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And one more question, from the region perspective. So I understand there are multiple data centers available at AWS, and you told that the consideration should be near to the data source. Wherever our data source is, the region should be set up there. Now, when I talk about Power BI, when we publish the reports on Power BI service, which is a Microsoft provided cloud, there also Microsoft Power BI is hosted in a region. So when we go to the settings, we can see where the Power BI service is hosted. Now, for example, my Power BI service is hosted in US, but my data source is in Mumbai. So what would you recommend as a region to be taken, near to the data source or near to the reporting layer?
So your always your reach should be faster when you comes to reporting, right? Your reach should be faster. Write can be slower. So you are going to like work on like reporting here, right? On your Power BI, you are going to take the data, you are going to run
Mhm.
SQLs and do
Mhm.
visualization. So you are going to read from data lake, right? So you are going to, the
Right.
reads are going to happen from data lake. So it should be close to that region. Simple as that. Your write can be
Understood.
slower, but your SQL query should be fast.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so you can see here S3 pricing. So as I said, we have different storage classes. S3 standard. So for first 50 TB, they charge 0.03 per GB. Okay, so that is the charges. TB, like first 50 TB per month. It's monthly basis we are discussing about. So you can see how cheaper it is. And if you go to low one, right? So for example, if you go to Glacier or intelligent tire, so they charge cheaper than your standard. It's cheaper, but the accessing will be slow. Okay, so the access time, the read operation will be slow. So if you are going to do monthly, you are going to, your purpose is only for backup or only for archival, then you can go for the lower ones. Otherwise, always use standard. Okay, so always go for standard. Even though it's a little bit costlier than the other Glacier, all this type, but this will be faster, the reads will be faster. Okay, so that is the difference of different storage classes. So you can see here, based on the type, your S3 standard is higher, but it's faster also. Whereas Glacier Deep Archive is cheaper, but it will be slower. So that is the differences between different storage type. And we are going to use S3 standard because in analytics we want faster reads. Only for backup mechanism, you will choose the intelligent tire or you are going for Glacier. That is how we choose. Okay, so we already have created one bucket.
So there is no limitation for accessing S3 for all the classes, right?
Limitation for accessing, what you said?
All there are many classes for S3, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. There is no
it is-
limitation. You can change it. Whenever you want, you can change it. You can create bucket on a particular storage class. And if you want, you can change it also.
no, I mean for let's say some specific class, we can access many time in a day that S3 data, right?
That is the limitation is there, right? That means like if you are going to create Glacier Deep Archive, right? So this can be accessed. You have to give a request, and they will give you after some time only. It's not going to be available immediately. Only S3 standard, you can read it immediately. This you will give a request, and that that will be loaded after some time, like 4 hours or 5 hours. Then it will be loaded. Data will be
After
there.
Okay, but after loading the data, after approving that request, we can access many times in a day, right?
So this is a slower one, right? So if you are going to access very frequently, you have to go for S3 standard. You cannot access very frequently. You can access
Okay.
once or two, like once in a while, but
Mhm.
you cannot use it every frequently. You cannot use it. If you are going to use frequently, you have to go to S3 standard,
Okay, got it.
or you
Got
can go
it.
for intelligent tire. If your combination is both, right? Sometime I want to access, sometime I don't want to go for access. Go for intelligent tire, which is combination of both. It will be faster read also, and you will if you're not accessing, the cheaper also cost will be cheaper also.
In organization, we do have some daily jobs and some weekly jobs, so
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
we can go with S3 standard, right?
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So you can define life cycle policy. That means I can say that initially for 30 days, I have it in S3 standard. After 60 days, move it to standard in frequency and then Glacier. So this you can define it in the S3 life cycle configurations. So if you see here, you can see the life cycle configuration, which you can define it. So we can define the policy here. That means this is applicable for saving the cost. So this they may ask you in interviews, how do you save the cost of S3? That means some backup activity or some backup data, or you're working on some data which you want to automatically after 30 days or 60 days, it's not going to be used. Then you can create using this lifecycle policy. So the data will be automatically it will get into the different storage class and your cloud cost will be saved. Okay, so after 30 days, it will move to S3 standard infrequent or Glacier. You can make it to Glacier also. So you are, after 2 years, I can delete the object. So this you can define it in the S3 lifecycle configurations. So you can define the policy here.
So it
You
will
can
not cause any breaking data pipeline.
No, this I'm saying only for backup, right? It's not for your
Okay,
data
okay.
pipeline. So this is all this thing are S3 storage classes are where it is used for the backup purpose. So I'm taking backup of data or I'm storing the data into like my data is coming. I am storing the data into stage area where daily I'm storing it. So I want to delete the old data, right? So that data is stored daily. I'm not replacing it. So for auditing purpose, I have for 1 month. After that, I want to delete it automatically, or I want to move it to different storage class. So the staging area, the data which came from the upstream system. For that, you can define your S3 lifecycle configuration. Okay.
Okay.
So we have seen what is S3 and what is the purpose of S3. So what are the storage classes of S3? So you can see here, as I said, S3 standard are if you want to access very frequently, it's the fastest way of retrieving data. S3 standard is the fastest way, whereas Glacier is the slowest way. So it will take some minutes to hours to retrieve the data. Whereas intelligent tier, it's little bit cheaper also, and it takes performance also. It's little bit faster than Glacier. So Glacier is the slowest one. If you are going for Glacier, it's very cheaper, but it is slower in performance. Your S3 standard is the fastest one. For frequent access, you will use S3 standard. Okay.
So while creating the bucket, can we explicitly define that which class of bucket we need? So
Yeah. Can define it. So you can see here, I'm creating a bucket using CLI. I'm creating a bucket. I can define the storage class. What class I want, standard IA, I want an intelligent tier. I can define while creating the bucket. I can define it. Or while storing the files, I can define the data also. Okay, so you can create the bucket, or you can storing the data. You can define the what type of access you wanted. You can define it.
okay. And what can you please explain what does this third line means greater than equal to 3 AZ? What is this AZ?
Availability zones. That means your data by default is there in multiple zones. So your S3 is a object storage where data is stored. It's stored in multiple regions. Okay, so availability zones. That means your data is stored in like multiple regions. So one region goes down due to some earthquake or any issues. If one region goes down also, your data is there in other 3 zones. So your data is already available in 3 zones. That is what it says.
Oh, understood. So you mean HADR, high availability disaster recovery.
Yeah, high availability.
Okay, okay.
So if you take like Mumbai region, in Mumbai itself, they will have like 1A, 1B, 1C. They'll have 3 subnets, and that will be different like servers running in different regions. The server is going to be in different regions. So if one server is down also, the other will be highly available. So that will like do load balancing. It will help you to it will be a fault tolerant and highly available system. That is why they have 3 AZ or 3 availability zones. It's nothing but availability zones.
And so if the data is stored in 3 zones, that means we are keeping the same copy of data at 3 places. That means we are occupying the storage of 3 data centers. So that means charging will also be done 3x or only 1x.
No, the charging is, you can see the charging is like 0.010 per GB, right? So they are saying that even though they are storing it in 3 servers, but they are charging you only one fixed like charges here.
Okay.
Okay, that is the replication factor of the server, of the object storage system.
Okay.
So the cost includes the replication factor also. This cost, whatever they are saying, it includes the replication availability
Understood.
zone cost also.
Understood. Yeah.
Okay, so why we are discussing a lot about IAM and S3? Because that is a main core services for a AWS cloud. We are going to use S3 heavily. So in organizations for data engineering, for data science, for data analytics, so we use S3 heavy because it is cheaper and it can store large amount of data. So we collect from all the sources, we bring it to S3 very frequently. So my batch jobs, bulk activity or streaming activity, the data comes from different area and ingestion layer. The ingestion layer will happen into S3, so into a data lake. So the collecting data in the ingestion, the first part of our layer will start with S3. Okay, that is why we are discussing about S3 here in detail. Okay, so how I can create the buckets, how I can access the data, how I can put the data. So you have different options. So like AWS S3, so S3 bucket. So we were creating buckets manually. So we created a bucket and we uploaded the data from UI. So you can do it from UI. You can do it from shell scripts. So you can do from scripts you can do it from Python or Java or applications, programming language. So you can do it from applications. So you can access the bucket from different places, like either from UI or from command line or from like a programming language. So different ways you can access. And as the data is stored, the data is like CSV format of data, Parquet, different format of data can be stored. So you can access the data and you can process the data.
So the command line is provided on the AWS platform itself, or do we use the company's provided systems command line?
Yeah, command line. So if you have like for company provided systems, you can access the AWS. If you are having AWS CLI installed in your company provided machines, then you can access it.
So to make connection using our command line with the AWS, is that provided by the administrator, or we have to do it on our own?
So for the CLI installation on your local on VDI, you're asking about that.
Right.
So normally you will put a request and they will install it on your machine. So if your job requires command line interface, then they will enable it on your machine. So it's like approval will be happening and then it will be getting installed. So in browser, you can see I went through browser and I searched for CLI. You can see Cloud Shell. So in browser also you have CLI. So where you can run some command line, run some commands. So if you want to do some commands, right, you can do it here. So I'm doing AWS S3 LS. So let me make it bigger. So I'm searching, I'm using AWS S3 LS. So it shows all my bucket. Through command line, I'm seeing all my bucket names. Okay, so you can use command line CLI on browser also. Okay, so in our course, what we are going to do is from our Windows machine, we have already installed AWS CLI in our local. So let us go to the local. So if I go to my local, I've opened a Visual Studio. In my Visual Studio, I'll go to terminal. And I'll do AWS S3 LS.
So just to be clear, this setup was done in the previous class?
So we have just installed, we did not configure. I'm going to show how we can configure it.
All right.
Okay, so far, if you see here in the cloud, I did AWS S3 LS. So I'm saying, I'm giving AWS command. I'm saying, fetch me all the bucket names from S3. That is the command I'm giving. So I'm doing the same command in my local also. How did it work? So for that, you have to do CLI configuration. So in your local, you will do AWS configure. So I'll go to terminal, new terminal, and I'll do AWS configure. So this command, if you see, I gave AWS configure, it's asking for AWS access key. Okay, so this is what it's configuring your user account to your local system. So I am going to give access key and password. So where should I get it? I'll go to my AWS account. I'll go to IAM. I'll go to users. Okay, so in users, let us go to the user which we created. So we created this user, not this one, this one. So this is a user we created. So this user, I can go to secret credentials, access keys. So I can generate access key. So what is the purpose of access key? You can see here, to send programmatical call from outside of AWS. So if you're going to access AWS resources outside of AWS network, you can use CLI. So I'll create access key. So you can see here, command line interface, application running out of AWS compute service, application running outside of AWS. So I'll select this and I'm generating access key. So you can see generated key and password. I'm going to copy that into my local. So I'm copying the key and copying the password, or you can download the CSV file. So this is credentials, right? So for this user, this is like programmatically, you can use this credentials to access this user account. Okay, so if I use this access key and secret, I'm using this user account. So whatever the permission he has, this secret keys will have. So I can go use this and configure it here. So I'm giving the access key and then access secret key, access key here. Both I give. It's asking for region. So I can give AP South. So I'm going to use AP South. So I'll give the region as AP South.
So this is a one-time setup, right? Will?
Yeah, so this is a one-time setup. So I'll show you where it is getting saved in local. So we'll see that. So I gave the credentials and last one, default output format, you can just enter. So this configure, what it did, it has configured your user account to your local CLI. Now, if I'm going to run AWS command, so AWS S3 command, it's going to work. Okay, it's working, right? So I'll go to local, I'll show you where it is, the credentials are saved. So in C, program files, like C users, my user account, in C AWS, here you can see the credentials. So here is where your AWS, when you do configure, your credentials are saved. So you can see this secret access key and then the secret key and then access key and then secrets. Both are saved here. So if I'm giving invalid, right? Let me say I'm giving invalid. So what will happen? Let us see. I'm doing again configure. I'm giving something invalid. Now if I do AWS S3 LS, can you see here? It's throwing error saying that it's an invalid access key. So your AWS access is not working. So this command is to verify you have access or not. So if you configure correctly, this command should work. I'll go to my local. So you can see credentials. So whatever I gave, it's configured here. So I gave a default. So here you can create profiles. So I can create multiple, I have multiple AWS account. So I can create like AWS configure.
So
I
this
can say
AWS S3 is region specific, or if we are saving some data, so it can be accessed only, I mean, for example, if I'm saving some data in East region, so it can be accessed only in the East, or how?
So you are saying AWS S3 client is region specific or what you are asking? That is what
No,
you're
no,
asking.
no, 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 wait. I'm saying some data in, for example, in East region.
Okay.
So it can be viewed only on East, or if someone trying to search the data in West region, so it can be accessible on West as well, or? Oh, I mean, while creating the S3, is it region specific or not?
S3 is region specific. So if you are creating S3 in one region and going to other region and using another service, right? And trying to access the S3, that should be, if it is both of the thing, it's in the same region, the performance will be faster. So if you are trying to use it from other region, it will work, but performance will be slower because you are there in a cross region. The network will be make your performance slower. Okay, if it is within the same region.
Same reason in the means like say I'm having data in east and west. I mean, for example, in east, so people are located in the east location, so they can be it can be accessible very fast. The same way I'm saving data for the west, for west region people.
Yeah. So they can
So
access the
both-
data, but the performance of the server which is closer will be faster. The server which is across, right, will be slower.
Okay.
Okay, that is specific to S3 bucket. Okay, so if we are going for other resource, right? So for example, if you are going for RDS or glue, then that changes. Some resources will be region specific. Some resources will be available across the globe. So it changes about the services. S3 buckets are available across the different regions, but performance differs. The read performance, the write performance, if you are doing it across the regions, the performance will be slower. Okay, so far we have seen how to configure your CLI. So we have configured a CLI. So we have once the CLI is the first step for our local setup. The CLI is the first step. You need to create IAM user. So first is creating IAM user and then giving access to the user and then going to secret credentials, creating your access keys. And in your local, you have to install AWS CLI. If the CLI is installed, then you will be able to do AWS config. So I'll take the access keys. I pasted it. So your AWS credentials, the configure is that you have to can maintain only one account. So I have dev, have stage, so I have multiple account. So in your AWS CLI, you can have multiple profiles. Okay, so you can configure multiple profile. I can say AWS configure -, profile, and I can say dev. So I can configure dev profile. So this can be a different account. So you can have another account, create another user, or you can have a different like AWS different account itself. You can create that and configure. Like dev, I can have like that. I can have stage. So I can create multiple profiles. So that is the reason why if I go to credentials, you can see multiple profiles are there. So I have multiple profiles because I have multiple accounts. So I can use any of this account. So by default, you are going to configure. If you don't give any profile, if you give only AWS configure, that will be configured as a default profile. So we are going to use default profile. So the first step is we have given the AWS CLI and CLI got created. Okay, so the next one is so far we have seen what is IAM and what is S3. We have created S3 bucket, and the bucket we are able to access from AWS CLI. So next step is we have different services like EC2, RDS, Glue. So we will see that in the next session. We will see the local setup quickly. So that means in local, we have Docker. So why we have Docker? So what is the purpose of having Docker? And we are using AWS services. Why we are going for different services here? So we already have like 200 plus services in AWS. So, okay, so we have 200 plus services in AWS. Then why we are going for Docker? Why we are going for different services? Because in enterprise, they use lot of tools, lot of framework in combination with either AWS services. Because something are enterprise specific, something are in AWS itself, something are very good to use, something is not easier to use, or something doesn't work with a lot of systems. So for example, we are going to use in the course, we are going to use Airflow, we are going to use Spark, we are going to use Kafka, and we are going to use Terraform. All these things are not part of your AWS services. Okay, so here Airflow is there as a AWS service. They call it as managed Airflow. Okay, so this you can quickly create it and use it. So even though you can use it, but we are going to use with the Docker. Okay, so we are going to use with Docker because it's easier to install, easier to use. So why we are using Docker? For quicker installation, because we are using Windows machine. In Windows machine, for installing all the software and configuring it is not easier. Okay, so for installing Spark, configuring it, or for installing Airflow, configuring it, it's going to be difficult. So we want to do quicker installation of all this thing. So for that we use Docker. Okay, so Docker, you can install Airflow quickly. Spark, I can install it quickly. Kafka, I can do it very quickly using Docker. Terraform, we will install it on Windows itself. It doesn't need Docker. So this can be done on Windows. So all this thing, we are, the purpose of Docker is for development one. So we are not going to do DevOps, any work here on DevOps. So for quicker installation of Airflow, we are using Docker, or quicker installation of Spark, we are using Docker, or quicker installation of Kafka. Okay, so that is the purpose of installing Docker in your local.
What about Mac OS?
So if you have Mac, you can install Docker. You don't have to use Docker desktop. You can install Docker. I have already sent command instruction for installing in Mac also. So you should see the WhatsApp. If it is not there, you can let me know. I will send you the instruction.
Okay.
Okay, so in Mac also.
What is
Mhm.
Airflow?
Airflow is an orchestration tool. Okay, so it's meant for orchestration. So what is orchestration? So we are working on data pipelines. So for example, so this is one pipeline where we have source, we have target, we are doing transformation. So this is the data pipeline. So source can be your MySQL, SQL Server, or it can be like any OLTP system, or any, it can be a data lake. Source can be a data lake. And target again can be a data lake or a data warehouse. So we are going to do transformations. So the transformations, it can be a simple transformation or a complex transformation. So this is a data pipeline. So you're building a data pipeline. So this data pipeline, we want to schedule it and then monitor it. Okay, so we are going to schedule it and monitor it. For that, we need an orchestration tool. Okay, to run this very frequently or monitor that, right? We need orchestration tool. For that, we will use Airflow and we will use step function. So if it is related to AWS, we are going to use Airflow. We are going to use step function. Or if it is related to multiple systems like cloud and then other systems, we'll use Airflow.
What we have in on-premises comparing to Airflow?
I think Control-M and AutoSys are similar to Airflow, right?
Yeah. It's orchestration systems. Like there are multiple systems. For orchestration, we can use different systems.
So basically, these are scheduling tools, right?
Yeah, scheduling tools.
Yeah.
So you can see here, I have a workflow. So I can trigger this workflow. So what this workflow will do? So it has like multiple steps here. So it's going to run multiple jobs here. So this will run one by one. Okay, so I can run a workflow. This jobs are glue jobs. So if I trigger this on AWS, it will run one by one continuously. Okay, that is how we can create a workflow. So you can do transformation. You are going to do transformation. You are going to schedule it and run it, and this helps you to monitor. And you can see the run. You can see the monitor it easily using Airflow.
So this Airflow is integrated with AWS or third-party tool?
In AWS, you have managed Airflow. So we call it as MWDA, which is a managed Airflow environment. So Airflow is open source, but AWS provides as a service actually.
I mean, during our creating the pipeline, we are not using this managed Airflow, right?
So we are not going to use this. Okay, so we are not going to use this. Instead of that, we are going to have it in Docker itself. We can run the Airflow in Docker itself. So you can see I'm running Airflow and I'm using it in my local. So it's easier for us to develop, easier to deploy and then test it.
So why can't we use this AWS serverless Lambda instead of Docker?
Serverless Lambda, it's different purpose. It's not meant for orchestration. It's a server-side processing system.
No. The Docker, like we are doing the multiple app installation, right? We are going to install Kafka and then Terraform like that. Can't we able to do in Lambda? Or I mean, I'm not sure about this. I'm not
No,
sure about the serverless
Lambda is a Python service. Actually, it's not Python. It can be any server-side application. Lambda is a serverless. It's an application actually. So it is not meant for replacing Docker, right? So it's a purpose of Lambda is completely different. Okay, so I'll tell you purpose of Lambda. So let us. So I have. So let us say I have a lot of cloud, like a lot of cloud services. I want to call a REST API. I want to call a JSON data. I want to fetch a JSON data and store it. So for that you can use Lambda. Lambda purpose is it's a serverless function. It's nothing but a Python function or you can write Lambda in Java. You can write Lambda in different programming language. It can be Python, .NET or anything. It's nothing but a function. You're going to write a function and do a server-side functionality. You can write server-side function. But what is the purpose of Docker here? For quicker installation. We are using for quicker installation. I want to install a Spark which will run on Linux. Okay, I'm building a Linux container here. On top of Linux container, I'm having a Spark. That I'm creating it by running some simple commands. Okay, so it's not taking a lot of time, right? So for example, I'll go to my local. So you can see I have only Airflow container. I can start this. So if I start my the developer Jupyter notebook container, so it quickly creates a Linux container. On Linux container, it deploys your Jupyter notebook and Jupyter notebook has Spark. So this is a integrated environment. It's running on Linux. It has Jupyter notebook and Spark. So you can see how fast it created, right? So I can access that. And do my development. So it's mainly for development, quicker development. We are using Jupyter notebook. Okay, so we are going to do development, quicker development using Jupyter notebook. After doing development, we will deploy it using Python. So that we will come to that next. So for quicker development, we are using Jupyter notebook. And for Jupyter notebook, for the local development, we have Docker containers. Okay. So I think you guys have already created installed Docker, and you have already done installation of the AWS CLI. So the next step here is, in your local, I'm going to send you this zip file. So I'm going to send you. So I'll be sending this folder, development folder. So you have to open that. So let me bring it down. So I'm going to send you this development folder. In the development folder, you have Jupyter Workspace, Docker Compose, and Dockerfile. So this one, you have to open it in Visual Studio Code. So you will go to File, Open Folder. You will just open the folder, open the development folder. So you will get this. Okay, here, if you need to install extension here. So the extension is, so the Docker provided by Microsoft. So this extension, if you have installed in your Visual Studio Code, then you will get an option, this option, where I can start it from UI. So I can say Docker Compose up, restart down. I can do it. I can run this file. Okay. So this Docker Compose file, if you see that file, what is that file? So what that file has, so you can see here what it is doing. So it has a Docker file. In the Docker file, it's taking your AWS Glue libraries, downloading that Linux container. So this is the image, it's downloading. So when you start it first time, it will take some 5 minutes or 10 minutes to download your Docker for your AWS Glue. And after downloading, we are configuring our AWS CLI here. So you can see here, I'm configuring my local AWS CLI. So I'm saying that in my local, I have CLI AWS in this path. And I'm saying, I'm referring to my Linux container. Okay, the second part is the Linux container, and the first part is my local Windows. Again, I am referring my local Jupyter Workspace folder. So that will be mounted to Linux container. Okay, so that is the reason why you can see this workflow folder has data. It has data files, and it has some notebooks. Everything I can access it from here. I can access it here, data folder. I can access this notebooks, everything. Let me, if I still give start, so it will download the image and then it will start here. And what it will do, so whatever the data I put it here will be there in the Jupyter notebook. So if I put some data here, so for example, daily we are going to discuss some projects, right? So when we are going to discuss, I'm going to send you the code. So that code, you can just copy it here. For example, day 4, I'm copying it. So day 4 has some notebooks, it has some data. That will be, if you copy it in local, it will automatically reflect in Jupyter notebook. So I'll refresh it. You can see day 4. And I can access my notebooks. I can run Spark here. I have data files. I have the CSV files. So this is how we are going to do development. Okay, so Jupyter Notebook, by using Jupyter Notebook, you can run Spark, you can work with the different data sets, and you can work on transformation logic. So it is, instead of using AWS Glue service, So the purpose here is we have AWS Glue, which is going to provide you AWS Glue or EMR, where you can run Spark. But that is going to be slower. Doing development there is going to be slower, and running will be cost you. Okay, if you are going to run anything here, that will be charged. It will be charged immediately on your cloud account. Okay, so that is why we will do development in the Jupyter notebook. After doing development, then we will go and deploy it on the cloud. So that we will do it after 8 classes. We will deploy it in the cloud. So initially the transformation logic we will do it on the local Jupyter notebook. Okay, so it will make you for your development fast.
So in organization, like this is the process like to implement the real-time projects.
Yeah. So we do both. Sometimes we do directly development here, right? So we do directly here. So here the problem is the editor you can see, the editors are not interactive enough. So let me open a editor. So we can write code here, but it will not throw error. You cannot see, you cannot run it and see quickly. So if you're going to run, it will start after 1 minute. So that we will not do development. So I cannot do faster development here. So what we do local development on Jupyter Notebook, or you use different editors and do local development. After doing development, you bring the code here and run the code here. So why we are running in Glue? Because Glue provides you resources. I can create 10 machine or 100 machines here. I can scale it up easily. That is why we come to Glue cluster here. We run it on cluster.
Okay,
So
but
in local,
yeah, when we are developing in our local, we cannot debug our code, right? Like kind of testing, unit testing. Like my code is working perfect or not. Once I copy and paste in their AWS Glue, there only I can debug my code, isn't
yeah,
it?
some like unit testing,
Yeah.
you cannot do it on local. You will do it on cloud.
But whatever code I'm writing here, like if I want to test it parts level, then it will be difficult, right, in the local. At least in the server side, in AWS server, then you can at least test whatever the code you written, you can test it and you can move forward. Is my understanding is not correct? Hello? Hello, anybody is there?
Indeed, I
Yeah.
am there, but I think Velmurugan has left due
Okay,
to
yeah.
connections. Maybe he will be back.
Yeah,
Let's
maybe.
wait. We have 10 minutes more.
Sorry guys, I lost internet connection.
I hope you understood my question well.
Can you repeat it? What was the question?
No, I asked like so in the local when you are developing in the local machine, okay. So debugging is a bit challenging, right? Because you need to complete your complete code and they can copy and paste in your in the server and test there. So if you do
No,
the
we are not going to copy and paste, right? So I'll tell you. So you need to understand what we are going to. I'll explain. It'll take few sessions. So
Okay.
then you can like I'll tell you now quickly. Maybe difficult for everyone to understand. So what we will have is we will have a project. So we will have a Python project where we will have the code. Okay, so the actual SQL, you will come and you will do the development, you will integrate it here, and you will push this code. So when pushing, this unit testing will be here. So we'll write unit testing also. When you are pushing the code, the functionality will be tested. When committing the code, the functionality will be tested. If the functionalities are good enough, then your wheel file will be generated. Then that wheel file will be tested in the cloud. So we'll use that wheel file for testing. This is how we do it in real world. Okay, so even though we do development locally, so that is building the transformation logic. So individual development, we are building the transformation logic. So you can work on your the transformation logic faster. And then you integrate with your code, with the project, and you commit this project. When you're committing it, your unit test cases will be executed and your code will be tested. And that is, if it is fine, then your wheel file will generate, binary file will be generated, and that binary file will be run. That is how it is be done. Okay, this is a little bit difficult process, but like when you are working on distributed system, this is how you can do it. Because here, the purpose of running it here, right? The purpose of running in a cluster is, I need multiple machines. I want multiple machines that Glue is giving me. So the Glue helps me. It can provide me 100 machines. I can dynamically scale it. So for that, I cannot go and write the code here. Because if I write the code, it's difficult to develop here. So what we do development separately, do transformation separately, and then we bring the code and do it. We integrate it here, deploy it. We don't do it manually. We do it in an automatic fashion. So we deploy the wheel file, and that wheel file will be integrated here. So we don't do that manually. We use GitHub and CI/CD pipeline for doing that.
So here, like we follow the CI/CD, like a pull request to.
Yeah. So for example, if you see here, right, let me go to the other region. So test case will be run. We have one test case here, and then the code wheel file will be generated, and the wheel file will be deployed to S3. And that wheel file, so in the ETL, when we run the ETL Spark, we are going to call the package only. The package will be there in the ETL project. So we'll be using the wheel file. So the wheel file will be used for release. So each releases, we will use the wheel file. So this is how we do development. We do deployment in dev QA stage. The same release, the same version will be maintained for different releases. Okay, fine. So
Maybe
like,
this is a bit confusion. Maybe like once you start.
yeah, like so now we have jumped into different path, right? So
Yeah.
we started on the thing we are discussing is local development, but we went into different things here. So like why we are setting up Docker here? So that is the discussion we were into, and we got into different things here. So Docker is to quicker our development. So we are going to work with different things here. For that, to install in your Windows machine, Docker helps you. Okay, so I can quickly install different softwares. And initially for transformations, we are going to use Spark for transformation logics. So we are going to read from different sources, transform it using Spark. So we are going to use SQL and Python code in Spark. For that, we use Jupyter Notebook for development. Okay, so the transformation logic, you can do it easily here. So, and you can test it here. On notebooks, I can run one by one code, test it here and fix the SQL or any issues, I can do it. That is why we use like Docker here and run it on Docker. Okay, so any questions from anyone on the discussions today? So today, the main thing we discussed is what is IAM and what is S3. So we started about IAM and then S3. And we discussed about setting up our CLI, local CLI, how to do AWS configure, and how to run our local environment, how to run your local environment. That is what we have discussed. So this again we will discuss in the next class also. So we will continue on the other services. So we'll see what is EC2, what is Glue, RDS. So we'll have an introduction, and then we will get into deeper on the transformation logic. So that is what we are going to do next.
Can
So
we
any
get
questions
the
from-
training materials or these slides? Can we get the access to that?
Once so once the account is created, right? Your learning portal account is created. This will be uploaded on the learning portal. So the I think you will get access to this learning portal. So once you get access, right? So where you will have the PDFs here, all the contents will be here. So it will take 1 or 2 days.
Okay.
I think by Wednesday or Thursday, they will create the accounts for the learning portal access. Then you will get all the slides. So you can see the slides, it will be uploaded here.
Yeah, because actually, right, we are working professional, and if we get the access bit fast, then we will not miss this. Like we want to spend 1 hour. Again, if we get after 3-4 days, then we need to look into those.
Yeah, I'll ask them to give the access.
Yeah.
So what is the assignment for us to do today?
So we need to set up the local environment. So I'm going to share the document.
So I
for
think
that.
local environment already we created.
There you did only installation, right? So today
Yeah.
you have to first is you have to create the user account. So as I showed, you have to go to IAM, create a user, and you have to enable secret credentials, give access keys, then configure it in your local and start your local development. Okay, so I'll send you the document.
Hi, I have a doubt. We have to do the AWS configure, then we have to run this Docker Compose, is it?
Yeah, because here Docker Compose, it's using your AWS configure. Okay, so within our Jupyter notebook, so if you see here, the day 3, right? I have some test files. So here, first step I'm doing is I'm creating buckets. I'm running AWS commands. So within my Jupyter, Jupyter is running on Linux machine. Within the Linux machine, your AWS will not give any credentials. Automatically will work. How it will work? Because it's using my AWS credentials here. So that is mapped to your Docker Compose file. So within my Jupyter notebook, I can run Spark. I can access my S3 bucket. I can create AWS S3 resource, or I can create any of the resources using AWS CLI. So in my Jupyter notebook, AWS CLI commands will work. And in my Spark, I don't have to give credentials. I can access my S3 bucket easily. This is possible only if you configure your AWS CLI. And you have to give the path correct.
Home glue user we need to create, is it, or it will be created?
This will be, it's on the Linux machine, on the Docker container, it will create automatically. You have to map this path along. This path you have to give your local. So as you seen my path, right? So I showed users. So this is my path, right? AWS. So this path I have copied it. This alone you have to change it. This alone you have to change it. This section you don't have to change. And the black slash should be correct here. Okay, the slash should be correct. And this you don't have to modify. This is on the Linux container. It's default for everyone. So you don't have to modify this. And this one you have to modify. This wherever you are having the code, that should be the workspace folder. That should be configured correct. This two you have to configure. On the right side or left side you can give it.
So last one thing I have to ask, we have given a S3 access, right? Full access. So
yeah, S3 full access.
Similar way, we have to give again a glue access as well, is it?
Yeah, so like that, we have to give glue access, RDS access, then only that services we can access it from your Jupyter notebook. Otherwise, you cannot access that services.
Okay, for now we have to give, or it can.
You can give S3 now. Later, we
Okay.
will add other permissions like glue, RDS. Later, we'll add it.
Okay, got it.
So once we change this path, then what we have to do? Docker pull, right?
Yeah, so you have to just go here, do compose restart. That will do everything for you.
And
You don't have
what?
to do anything.
Okay.
If your Docker extension is installed, so if your Docker extension is installed, you will get
Okay.
this option. You will get this option to start the compose up, right? So that means you can start the Docker compose. So
Okay.
just give Docker compose restart. So restart will pull the container, it will start the container, and you can see the container running.
Okay.
The
Okay.
container running, and you can access it from the browser. You don't have to run any commands. So this
So
is
then, yeah. After this, how can we access this? What was that?
Jupyter
Localhost.
notebook. Yeah,
Yes.
it's localhost 88. So this is the port.
Okay, got that.
So I'll share the instructions. So let me share the instructions. So this I'll share the PDF. You can see the steps here. So you have to create a user, and you have to give S3 full access. I think this is the old one. The latest one will have Docker Compose. Let me get the latest one. So I'll go to. So you can see the instructions here. First step is to create IAM user, and then generate access keys. Then you have to do AWS configure. Then for that user, you have to give S3 full access. Then we have done already, you have to do extension in the VS Code, Docker extension in VS Code. Then you are going to run your Docker Compose. You can see the Docker Compose run. Then you can access it from browser. So this document will clearly explain you what are the steps you do.
Okay. So right away you will send us.
Yeah, I'll send you this document right away.
Yeah. Thank you.
So for Mac users in the YAML file, any different configuration?
In Mac also, you can run this YAML file. Okay, so you will run it from command line. So I can go to terminal. Docker compose. This is what you do it in Mac. So if you don't have extension, you can try for Visual Studio extension. If you don't have extension, you can do Docker compose.
Okay.
So you will go to that particular folder where you have the Docker compose file and run this command.
Okay.
So I had a doubt in the 18th line of the code. Right. So here you have mentioned .aws. So do we have to have the same specific directory, or we could choose any other
This
directory?
is automatically created folder. This will create in your machine also. It's created by AWS CLI, right? So when you do AWS configure, right? This folder will get created automatically in your local. So you are going to configure that. You are going to give that path here. So you are not going to create this folder. It's automatically created by your AWS CLI.
Okay.
Okay. Any Okay, if we don't have any questions, we'll stop for the day and then we'll connect again tomorrow.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll share the document and then recording. You can go through that. If you have any questions, you can message me in WhatsApp.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks everyone. We'll connect again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ved.
Thank